some days are great and other days I'm like, man, who am I supposed to be? And back to the social media thing, like there's so much noise. You see all these different perspectives. That shiny object can get pretty bad, at times.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I could be doing this or that or that or that or that. And it's like, goodness, why don't we just recognize where our feet are right now? And, and that's where I get kind of hung up though. It's like
Going in, first off, I just want to say your space here is cool.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah. So thanks for guesting on my podcast while I guest at your pad, man.
Hey, heck yeah.
Yeah.
We're here.
This is a cool setup. So a little bit about you. I've known you for what? 5 years, 6 years, several years.
Yeah, at least 6 years.
Yeah.
At least. You were still living in Evansville.
Yeah.
You would come down every once in a while. You were the mysterious Schlag brothers.
Just show up
Yeah.
and disappear.
Yeah.
So I've seen you doing deals. And the first thing I want to say about you, two things. Number one, you're still very young and you and your brother are killing it.
Still young. Yeah.
Still very young. And how old are you now?
25.
25.
Yeah.
And how long have you been in the investing game?
So 8 years. 8 years.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Did my first deal when I was, I was just looking at my mom sent me a photo the other day. She said, look, your first deal was me in the kitchen holding up a check. It's $1,729 and it's dated December 4th, 2016. So I was actually 18. I must have had it under contract, I guess at 18. I just turned 18, did my first deal. Yeah. Basically been doing it ever since.
Darn, I got a late start. I didn't start till 21. That's cool. So did you and your brother work together from the very beginning, or did that come later?
Yeah. So I did the first deal by myself because there was no proof of concept. I'm the one absorbing all this information on Periscope at the time and YouTube and all these things. And so I was like, dude, I'm doing this. And so I did the first one and then kind of showed him the proof of concept. And thereafter, the next deal was we bought a deal from a wholesaler. I talked to my parents into taking out a HELOC on their house. And we bought a house for $36,000. We ended up flipping it. We made $32,000. And I was like, Jake, my brother, you got to drop out of college. And we're doing this full time. This is what we do.
Heck yeah.
And so, we've been doing deals ever since.
So how long was it from the time you started till you got that $32,000 check?
On the flip?
Yeah.
It was about 90 days. We flipped it in about 90 days.
You jumped right in.
Yeah. We were working hands-on. We were there doing demo. Our dad's a plumber.
Yeah.
And so we added a second bathroom and it was on a slab. So we had to bust up the floors. We're jackhammering, pouring concrete, gluing pipe, putting down floors, installing doors. We did everything. Mostly everything.
That's some next level hustle right there, bro. That's crazy.
You know what it set us up to have a perspective for, first of all, what it actually costs to do these types of deals as a wholesaler. A lot of these wholesalers, they never held a hammer and they don't know what anything costs. So it's kind of hard to price stuff. So out the gate, we knew how to price things and how hard it was to actually do and the respect that it actually took once you start paying guys. It's not easy work. You know what I mean? And so it's easy to think, oh, you need to do that for less, but it's backbreaking stuff. So yeah, we learned a lot.
Good perspective.
Yeah.
Like that. Fast forwarding a bit, something I enjoy on these podcasts because you started. I love hearing that because somebody listening to this probably starting out going, crap, feeling like they're hitting a brick wall. I know that's how I felt when I first started. What goes through your mind when you see someone, at the meetups you've generously let your space across the room here. We got getting ready to do a meetup here in a few hours, bring together 50 or 60 real estate investors. So when you meet the person who's new, and they're trying to get that first $32,000 check, and maybe they're struggling to make ends meet right now. What goes through your mind? How do you help them?
I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer to that question. I think it really depends on what they want. Whenever maybe that 6 years ago, I probably would have said something different. Yeah. But I don't know. It really depends on what you want and how much time you have on how to kind of solve that problem of getting that first deal, or whether they have a W-2 income. There's so many variables. But, I've found that when I'm not talking to people that own real estate, we're not doing as many deals. You know what I mean? When we're not talking to people, having conversations, it's kind of hard to buy a house, or making offers just in general if you don't have the time to market yourself. But yeah, if you're not making offers and, following you don't need to track your numbers to the T when you're just getting started, but it'd probably be a good idea to have a goal hey, I need to make 7 offers this week or whatever that number is. Because you're never going to buy anything if you don't make an offer on something.
That's a good takeaway and very true. When it comes to you guys do a lot in the community, and you've got the cool space here, you've got the team working, you're doing a lot of deals. Something, and just so everyone knows, I got permission to ask Wes this before we came live, so don't want to appear like I'm too insensitive. But something I notice about you, Wes, is you constantly discredit yourself, probably subconsciously. Why do you think you do that?
That's a good question. And, I've been thinking about that. And, I don't know. I think it's partially because there's a lot of noise on social media.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get on Instagram, and see these kids that are 20 years old zipping around the world in private jets and driving Lamborghinis. I'm like, man, I don't do that. I don't have those things. I'm so behind. I guess I'm not worthy of those things, right? It's very easy to start to think that stuff. So, I think but that's maybe just an easy answer. I think that's kind of where it starts.
Yeah.
But I definitely have a lot to be grateful for, and certainly don't give myself credit for what we've accomplished. It's like you said earlier, they feel like someone who might feel like they're hitting a brick wall. Shit, I feel like that all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm hitting a brick wall. It's like once a week. I'm brick wall, detour, speed bump, pothole. You know what I mean? Like it's constantly happening.
Yeah.
But the wins are nice too.
What mental tenacity or what's that piece when you are hitting that brick wall? What's keeping you going right now?
I'm a firm believer in action cures all.
Okay.
So I'm just like just absolutely cut negativity, just absolutely get it out of the mind, and just what can I do right now? What can I work on right now to move the needle forward? That's and just take action, and then everything magically starts to become better when you start taking action towards your goal.
So a little deeper on, I mentioned I've seen you discredit yourself several times. I know you're a speaker and a trainer. People come to you, ask you questions, and you have helped a lot of people in the business. And we've had several conversations around you wanting to do that at a higher level. And there's been a mental block that's kept you from doing that. What's that like right now for you?
Yeah, again, I guess it's just back to like, maybe I just don't have the credibility to do that. I'm like, I guess I could certainly teach somebody how to find a deal or do their first deal or buy a rental, or, there was actually quite a few things I could teach somebody how to do. And I guess I am constantly looking at things from my perspective, not their perspective. I'm like, I need to figure out how I can get to 10,000 units. So that's kind of where my headspace is. And so if somebody who just wants to do their first deal, I'm not even thinking about it from that perspective. Does that make sense? It's like when they don't know anything, but I certainly know how to help them do that. I'm not giving that perspective any thought on that level. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
And the reason I'm wanted to talk about this as well as we delve into more of the real estate, but on this specifically, because this is something that I struggled with very deeply for many years. And it's something that I see so many people, you've got the other side that you see somebody who maybe has a big ego and they've started their first deal and they suddenly believe they're a professional, and not downing that. They can help somebody who hasn't contracted the first deal yet. So at every level we can help somebody. But I think in so much wanting to pull back from that, sometimes we self-sabotage who we might otherwise help. When I'm stepping into that power and really helping someone, something I think is very interesting to me to get to 10,000 units, the only way to get there is by serving more people at higher levels. And to serve more people at higher levels, how do I do that? What goes through your mind when I ask that?
Serve more people at a higher level. I think what I'm hearing you say is help people to kind of help yourself, so to speak. Is that kind of what you're saying?
It could be. It's kind of the Zig Ziglar quote: if I help enough people get what they want, I don't have to worry about what I want.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning. Great guy, A&E producer for many, many years, and a very high level guy. 3 years ago, if this guy would have called me, I would have panicked, thinking I wasn't worthy for this conversation. Mm-hmm. But what I realized is I wasn't going in as the pro. I was going in learning about him, and come to find out he was looking for help on his real estate investing business. Well, can I serve someone? Can you serve someone who is looking to get their third deal after you've done what? A couple hundred plus probably.
Yeah.
And so as we begin to take ownership, so what do you think that process is for you to take ownership of your success and to be able to serve at that next level like I know you want to in your heart?
I mean, that's a good question. That's I guess really I need to just keep in mind that not everyone knows what I know. And there is people out there that I actually can't help that have never done a deal. And because again, like I said, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking, oh, everyone knows what I know. Everyone knows how to go out and find a deal. Come on, it's the easiest thing in the world, right? To find a wholesale deal that, is all banged up. So looking at it from a different perspective and realizing that that's not the case would probably be a good starting point, and then taking action on that. We've last month we had we did a cash flow and coffee little meetup. We did a little 8 a.m. thing here where we had 10 guys in, and we were just talking about cash flow, just super relaxed, just talking about how to get started in creating and generating cash flow. And we're like, oh, well, we'll do this every month, but haven't taken the action to schedule the next one. Actually, I'll be honest, it's on my calendar for this Saturday, but I haven't told anybody about it, right? So I'm like,
just did. Hundreds of people now know.
Saturday, 9:90, yeah. Just I guess kind of back to what I was saying, just making it a point to take the action necessary to do that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. I want to ask the question a different way, because I see you pinpoint that, and it comes down to that action very much so, because what gets measured gets done. If my objective is to make some calls this month, it's very much, as long as I get some calls, whatever that means, 3 or 300, before the 30th of this month, I have succeeded. And so measurable goals, I think, are powerful. But let's fast forward. Let's say Wes is 30. We're sitting in this podcast studio on the beautiful green couch with our not so brand new headphones that we're now using for the first time.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here and we're having this conversation. What would Wes tell 25-year-old Wes to do right now to break out of the current brick wall?
Ooh, wow. That's good. I heard a quote. What someone said to me once, you got to do it to get through it. You know what I mean? Maybe there's probably some fear of like, hey, well, what if I'm going to let these people down, or I'm not going to fulfill what they think, or they're not going to learn what they think they're going to learn from me. So maybe kind of not taking necessarily, do everything I can to do that, to fulfill, and then realize that maybe their success isn't necessarily my responsibility. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I feel like their success would be dependent. I would be responsible for their success or failure.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
So maybe not worrying about that and just, provide value and recognize that they're going to do what they're going to do with it, and it's not up to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting balance to find. Something that one of our mentors, Leo and I, my business partner and I, paid $100,000 to be a part of a community, to be in with this group that we're in. And a dear friend of ours and who hosts the community taught us this lesson. He said, you can be the guru or you can be the host. And I said, that's very interesting, because it never attracted me to be the guru, right? Mm-hmm. It attracts me to lead people, to lead communities, to train up leaders, to empower people, to see people get to their next level in life. But there's a big difference, and it takes a lot of pressure off the moment you go from being the guy who's supposed to know everything to the moment you become the host.
Yeah. You're just bringing everybody together.
Yeah. What could that mean to you?
I like hosting parties. I like hosting.
You're a phenomenal host. And I think it's interesting.
Different perspective.
Yeah. Because like every time Leo and I get together, he obsesses, and I'm so glad he does, over the successes of our mastermind community, for example. We bring them together and we have discussions. I'm going, hey, could we do this? And he's going, could we help this one connect with that one? And I've found that while I would, for ego's sake, love to think that everyone's there because of me, the reality is it's grown past me. And I can't create a legacy until it does. What's going through your mind about that?
Well, what I'm hearing you say is, it's not about you or me. It's about the community. It's about everybody that's involved, that not just one person, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because you're a phenomenal host. You and your brother both. You make everybody feel amazing.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah, and you throw great events.
Yeah, let's call that.
You guys make it fun. You guys make it fun.
Fun's important.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So you've experienced the success you have. What you're doing this thing. What's the next deeper thing for you? Like, what drives you beyond 10,000 units? You're going to hit that. That's as good as done in my mind. But what drives you and Jake on a deeper level?
Like you said, we've experienced some success. We've seen we've seen that, and and at early age too. And what I've really kind of realized on a kind of deeper level, on a more like human level, is that like hanging out with the people that I care about the most, like that I love, like that's like the best thing ever. Like just like being able to like hang out and create those memories. We like to travel, doing those things. Like that's the greatest thing. And so kind of what I'm hearing you say that could really make a lot of sense. If you had a community that you could experience new fun things with, travel and have these things, it's like, whoa, hang on, I could take one of my favorite things in the world, help other people and make money doing it. I mean, that kind of sounds like, does it get better than that?
Right.
It's kind of like my thought process when you say that. But then I have this, there's this little guy on my shoulder. You're like, you need to just focus on what you're working on right now.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about that right now. And it's like, well, when do I need to do that? Because right now is all we got.
Have you heard me talk about duplicating efforts?
Maybe. Let's hear it again.
So I always look at something, because I used to be the shiny object syndrome guy, right? Yeah. Like I want to day trade. I want to wholesale. I want to build portfolios. I want to buy multifamily. I want to buy trailer parks. I want to teach. I want to be the best. All of this. And, when you chase two rabbits, you catch none. At the same time, though, I'm going to give you a example of something we're doing right now. Leo and I are having a chat, and he says to me, we're talking about, empowering the community. How do we inspire and continue to always bring excitement, make everything new, fun, and exciting? More than like 30 days, like we're trying to figure out something to reinvigorate. So it's okay. So one thing we want to accomplish is to bring the community up, help our mastermind members get more deals.
Okay.
Number 2, we just launched a smaller community, a lower tier community, because there's a lot of people who didn't have the $50,000 to invest in the mastermind, but they need community and support. So it's okay. We're going to launch this that will support people who maybe don't have the 50K yet, maybe are earlier in the game. So we want to showcase that. Something else we want to do is we want to empower our team. Our real estate team is doing deals. We constantly try to bring them education and growth and learning. So if we're trying to accomplish these 3 things at once, how could we do it all at once? Because in my mind, immediately I think, I need to go train my team for an hour a day. Mm-hmm. That's an hour. I need to go work on marketing for an hour a day. That's an hour or more. And I need to go help our mastermind community, meeting with all 42 members an hour a day. Well, that's physically impossible.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, how can we combine this? And Leo looks at me, he goes, why don't we do a 60-day challenge? Interesting. So now outside of the challenge, we're obviously helping communities close deals and all of that stuff too. And Chris, he'll be here shortly. He just locked up 2 on Tuesday. Nice. So they're killing it. But we launched a 60-day challenge. So now for 30 minutes a day, we have a couple hundred people from the outside world who are getting a glimpse into what we do, calling deals. Some of them, we have a 13-year-old, my great friend Marshall Silver, his son came on, and Leo and I was teaching. He got on the phone and done his first 3 calls to sellers this week. Like freaking phenomenal.
13, that's crazy.
Right? And so now our community is blowing up as far as our circle community. Now our team is getting what they're contracting more deals. They're sending out contracts because you can't let any of the mastermind or the other community outdo them. Mm-hmm. And we got this healthy competition. The mastermind is hyped. They're calling me off times and we're closing deals with them. And so now that 1 30-minute a day action takes care of the 42-hour a day action I was trying to figure out how to accomplish.
So everyone's jumping on this 30-minute a day. It's a call. Is that what it is?
It's a Zoom. It's a live Zoom.
Everyone's hopping on and it's just open discussion, questions, feedback. Is that the vibe?
I have a agenda every day. 30 minutes goes super fast, which is by design. Frankly, I'll reveal my secrets. 30 minutes because number 1, we're going to give massive value and we can do that. But number 2, I never want someone coming on getting bored. I want someone getting done excited for tomorrow, which is why our retention rate, we started out with 102 or 98 on the first day, and we've been averaging 102 by like the 6th day. And then we're up to, I think, 112 right now. We're in day 11 this afternoon, which we'll live stream right over there.
Nice.
And so when I say duplicating efforts, I see you guys have a phenomenal space here, right? You guys have, and I say this because somebody's listening to this and they're struggling with the same thing. I don't want a shiny object syndrome myself. A lot of us entrepreneurs have done that.
Oh yeah. Big victim of it myself.
But what if I had 3 people over and I was closing my deals while they watched? And what if I said, hey, let's do X and build this together? Now we're JVing inside the community. Now I say, hey, I'm going to freaking, you just got back from Dubai, didn't you?
Yeah.
Or Italy and wherever you and your brother travel all over the world. I'm going here. What if I take part of my community with me? And of course, there's profit centers and, we could get into all the details. But what goes through your mind when I say that strategy?
Well, what goes through my mind is, sounds like the idea, but you make it into an actionable, okay, hey, have a few people over and just get on the phone. I mean, I was on the phone before we got here. One of our closers is out, so I'm filling in for her. And I'm like, I've been on the phone all morning long, just having amazing conversations with people. I'm like, shit, somebody could probably get some value out of this. Bro. So I'm thinking, well, if we had some people that wanted to come in and shit, I mean, I'll make these calls right here. You can sit here and listen, whatever, and just ask questions, whatever. It makes me think that that's an actionable that I could take.
I agree. And because social media, you can literally buy a second phone or an iPad and TikTok live. There's this dude blowing up on TikTok right now, bro. He just freaking sits on TikTok and does closing calls all day.
Really?
You're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Turn on the goofy thing.
And does he have the seller on there too? The audio of the seller?
Yeah. Every day, live TikTok, 5 hours a day. He's live streaming because TikTok promotes you right now for having long lives.
Okay.
And so, of course, now, go buy a couple more devices and live stream it on Instagram if you want, or Facebook. Now you're doubling, tripling, quadrupling your efforts.
Jeez. I got a spare phone on my desk.
Boom. What can I say, man?
Okay. That's it. I didn't even see. These aren't things that I'm thinking about. I'm in I've been victim of the shiny objects for many a times. And Jake, he's much smarter than me, I say. And he's like, Wes, no, we're not doing that. Relax. Focus. I'm like, oh, you're right. I came to him yesterday. I was like, dude, we could start building trailer homes and we could sell manufactured homes. And whatever. He's like, Wes,
focus.
Let's talk about that in 6 months.
That's funny.
All right, fine.
Well, see, and I think that's the important part, that when it's a shiny object. Because right now, if I said, hey, I'm going to go buy 3 trailer parks and turn them around, like that's a shiny object for me. Because that's a crap ton of effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I said, hey, I'm going to bring 10 people in here to watch me do calls, or I'm going to turn on TikTok, that is duplicating efforts.
Yeah, I like that. I think that I'm going to do that this week, TikTok live. You know what?
Deal?
I'm going to do that. And I'm going to report back to you.
It's a game changer for you, bro.
I'm doing it.
You're going to have 2 or 3, 5 people show up on the first one. It's going to be small. Second one, third one, you start doing it consistently. You may have 50 to 100 people on a day watching in a matter of a few weeks if you do it consistently. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think 90% of people never start. So if you start, you're ahead of 90%. They say if you do 20 podcasts, you're in the top, I believe it's 2%.
Yeah, I've seen that stat.
Freaking nuts.
Insane.
20 podcasts, you're suddenly in the top 2%. So you're no longer competing with 4 million podcasts. You're competing with, not even competing, but as you look at that, and so coming back to your TikTok, 90% never start. And I assure you, out of the remaining 10%, 90% of those did it 1 or 2 times, and 3 people showed up and they quit.
It ain't that hard to be top tier with those stats, huh?
Bro, it's just a memory must. Every time bandit signs go up in my area, I call them. Less than half ever return my call. Why would you buy a bandit sign, put it out, say I buy houses, hire the freaking answering service, and get calls, one of the hottest leads you could get, by the way.
Yeah.
And not call it back.
That's always blown my mind.
Can you imagine bringing back, my grandpa born in 1914, and you say, hey, grandpa, you can literally make money by sitting on a cell phone, and you can literally make more money by helping other people close deals with another cell phone, live streaming it to hundreds of people, to millions online. He'd be like, what kind of magic is that?
Yeah, it would be magic. That's what it would be.
But we don't even think about it.
No, we don't. you know, not to go on a tangent here, but where my brain goes when you say what you said, just when you say it like that, our great grandkids are gonna say the same thing about their technology, and I'm like, what does that look like?
That's frightening.
Yeah, kinda. That's probably what they'd say. They'd be a little scared by that.
That's
probably.
true. That's true.
That's crazy. That's a whole other conversation. But
there was a village. I wish I could remember the name of them. They had there was no roads to the village. They'd lived there for God knows how long, with no human interaction. And the Americans flew in on the helicopter, and they was asking, you know, who are you? You know, are you aliens? Are you demons? Like they couldn't figure out where these people came from. And so they showed them pictures. They said, no, we're just like you. We have families. And they showed them a picture of their family. And they looked behind the phone. When they couldn't find nothing, they thought they was casting evil spells on it, and they killed the whole group that landed. Years later, like 30 years later, as the roads came in and civilization finally reached them, they continued telling this story because they realized that they had screwed up.
Wow.
These people on a helicopter flew in to actually help them. You imagine?
So living in the modern era, but they didn't even know?
Bro.
That's like,
I know it's a rabbit trail, but
yeah, that's like literally living under a rock. That's like,
it's crazy. But you start thinking about that. And I said that while it is a rabbit trail to make the point, like, we are so freaking blessed, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, it really makes me feel like I could be doing a lot more.
I think we all could.
More. Yeah. How do you handle that? The feeling of, ooh, I could be doing a lot more. How do you manage that?
That's a good question. So I think for me, it comes back to knowing one's purpose and making sure that you're stepping toward it every day. Because I've been on both sides of that. I've been on the side where it's like, my purpose is so big, I'm going to go day and night and not sleep. And that is overwhelming and unhealthy. And then I've been on the side where, you know, all the whole freaking world caved in on me and I don't even want to live no more. And I think when you can find that ground of my purpose is huge, I'm excited every morning to wake up. You know, I enjoy starting my day at 4 a.m. and going for a morning run. And I enjoy all of those things. I enjoy drinking a ton of water. Right now I'm 75 hard. I'm on day 22.
Nice.
And so I enjoy doing all these things, but ultimately it's to empower and live my purpose more fully. And when I look at that way, and money now becomes a tool. I think used to, I was like, if I could just get enough money, except the money was the focus. And when we're chasing, we never make it. But if we're attracting, we're always in balance. And so I said, okay, money is the tool. I don't give a crap about the paper printed. I care about freedom, spending time with those I love, and reaching my mission and purpose, fulfilling my mission and purpose. So as long as I'm on the track of spending time with those I love, doing fun stuff, and I'm fulfilling my purpose, my mission every single day. Sure, I'm not speaking to 100 million people today, but I'm speaking to 50 in the next room, and we're having this conversation, and several hundred will see it. And how I treat or interact with 1 or 100 is the test that I'm being given by God to see if I'm qualified to handle talking with 100 million.
That's good. You've thought about that.
I think it's something that I was really tormented about for a very long time. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where it comes from. But what about you? What would you say if you had to describe how you deal with your purpose and that balance?
So that's why, I was asking you, because I'm like, man, I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, some days are great and other days I'm like, man, who am I supposed to be? And back to the social media thing, like there's so much noise. You see all these in perspectives. That shiny object can get pretty bad, at times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I could be doing this or that or that or that or that. And it's like, goodness, why don't we just recognize where our feet are right now? And, and that's where I get kind of hung up though. It's like, hey, do what you know, which is I know how to get on the phone and close deals. Yeah. That's what I know how to do. And I know how to bring the team in, when they want to learn. It's easy to.
Do you know your purpose?
I don't think so. Okay. I don't think I know my purpose.
I think you'll always feel lost until that becomes clear, because you never know if you're taking the action that is taking you toward the purpose. Because it's 10,000 units take you to your purpose. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that's just going to create money, and
yeah.
obviously they'll create generational wealth.
Sure. It's fulfilling.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think so.
But I think the ultimate fulfillment comes when every step we take, I turn down deals every single day that are big paydays because they would distract me from my purpose.
Yeah. They don't align with what you've got going on, is what you're saying.
And I take gigs all the time that pay way less, but they're one step closer to my mission and my purpose.
What's a good book or a good way to kind of get in tune with what that looks like, your purpose?
That is a good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think How to Win Friends and Influence People helped me tremendously communicating with people. And I think that is a large part of my purpose. So I felt that in total alignment with my purpose for sure. I think the more important thing for all of us is to really understand the world in a way of where our place is in it. I study influential people and cult leaders because if you can build a culture, you can change the world.
That's interesting. Yeah.
If you look at movements, if you look at evil people like Adolf Hitler, who was pure evil, but he created a movement. Mm-hmm. If you look at Jesus, who created a movement that 2,000 years later is still going on, that people will die for. If you look at Donald Trump today, he shows up in New Jersey and 100,000 people fly from all over the country to be there. That's a movement way beyond a man.
Yeah. As much as the political climate is so dicey these days. Whole nother topic, obviously, but man, he's got some followers, some loyal.
You look at that. You look at Martin Luther King, changed the world. He created a movement. You look at Nelson Mandela, was willing to spend nearly 3 decades in prison, but changed the world. And so I think once we can find our place in the world, and for me, I didn't understand my purpose when I was in the place of looking like I want to accomplish this. The moment I took myself out of it and said, actually, what is my purpose for? My belief of my purpose is 3 things. I'm to help empower people to live amazing lives by improving their relationship with themselves, with God, and with money. If they can improve their relationship with money, that changes their life and gives them freedom. They're out of constant lack. If they can change their relationship with God, then they realize they're God's kids, made in God's image. There's massive value there. And that changes their self-image to want to be fit, healthy, give, love, and experience life in a way more fully than they ever otherwise could have.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So everything I take is to take me to that purpose.
Makes it a lot easier to make decisions when you have a clear picture of what you're supposed to be doing like that.
Absolutely. And that doesn't mean the road doesn't zigzag, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, every day is a step. I'm going to think sincerely, and guys listening to this, if you got a great book or two, recommend them in the comments. But I know you're a reader, big time.
Yeah.
And got the whole bookshelf behind me.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely going to give you some recommends.
That'd be great. Love a good book.
That'd be fun. Well, awesome. Well, as we bring this to a conclusion, this has been so fun, man, and way too long in coming. And I have so many more questions to ask you about your real estate business, which we barely even touched on. But I want to wrap this up because somebody on their way to work has already probably arrived, or somebody is getting their next sales call now. So any final thoughts, any words of wisdom you want to share with everyone listening to this?
Well, I'm gonna say that if you don't know what you want to do, it's kind of hard to do it. And that's kind of where I was just going like, hey, I don't necessarily know what my purpose is. So it's kind of hard to work towards it, But, I know how to get a deal. I know what actionables I need to take to do that. So it's easy for me to work on that. So figure out what you want to do and focus on doing that, and makes things a little bit easier.
One note I want to leave you with, and I want to say this before the camera goes off because I would say it to you either way. We often teach what we most need to learn. When you're the host, all pressure is removed. You're just taking people on your journey.
That's good.
It's fun. That. Awesome, brother. Well, thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And
we'll try this.
All right. Yeah, there we go.
All right. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you so much.
See you guys.